I can wear the tread off a set of tires. One of them seems to be riding on the inside. I don't know what's caused that. Wow. Wow. Good grief. Wonder what it was that got on top of them.
You never see government do. I am joined now by our panelists, Democratic strategist Theron Johnson, the CEO of Paramount Consulting, and Republican strategist Brian Robinson, the president of Robinson Republic. All right, so what's the state of the race at the moment, do you think? And how big a deal that House Speaker Ralston has now come out and endorsed Brian Kemp?
Well, you know, Theron and I don't agree on much, but we would agree, I think, that David Ralston is a Georgia treasure. And this is a guy who has been a steady hand of the wheel, a solid conservative, and he's served the state well for the 12 years that he's been Speaker of the House. That said, no endorsements really matter that much in Republican politics outside of President Trump's, to be honest. But what it does show is it symbolizes the way that the governing class in Georgia politics has consolidated around Brian Kemp. Not only them, but the donor class. And that's why you see these massive totals for Kemp's fundraising and not for the opponents. So for those two groups, and there's a lot of overlap there, they're solidly behind Brian Kemp. What's the state of the race? Right now, from every bit of data you see, Brian Kemp's lead is growing by the day.
What's your take on all this? And would Stacey Abrams rather see them fight it out for another month? What do you think?
Well, I agree with Brian. I mean, Speaker Ralston is a big Republican endorsement, and while endorsement does not really matter, but I think having the Speaker of the House, which I've said is the most powerful Republican member in the legislature, that definitely helps Brian Kemp. But I think as far as what Democrats are doing is that, look, there's been a lot of back and forth in the Republican primary. I mean, David Perdue has went after Brian Kemp pretty aggressively. Now, it's go time for David Perdue. I mean, we're less than 2 weeks of an election. He doesn't have much money, and
about 900,000, right?
Yeah. Now, you know, Republicans, they can raise a lot of money pretty quickly, but if anything he's gotten to research, anything that he's been holding to sort of attack, he's got to get it out, because these numbers are showing that Governor Kemp is in a good position to be the Republican nominee.
All right. And let me say, closing on Ralston, that these are two leaders who have feuded. They have not always been good friends.
Exactly.
They've gone head to head.
When Kemp appointed Kelly Loeffler, Ralston was upset.
But it says a lot about Speaker Ralston. I mean, he is a person that's loyal to his party. I mean, he works very hard to keep his Republican caucus together. So for him to come out and endorse Brian Kemp, Governor Kemp better be very, very thankful for that endorsement.
Okay. I think he is.
I'd like you to briefly address what we started with, which is the early voting numbers. More than 3 times as many have voted so far now. Republicans might argue that this puts the lie to the voter suppression argument. What do you say?
Well, Russ, listen, you know, Brian is going to say that. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Georgia has grown, right? We see all these companies coming here, all these great corporations, but people are moving to Georgia for a lot of a variety of reasons, right?
I wonder who's running a comedy show in that house. Just ran across somebody that was telling me about it. I don't think this neighborhood is zoned for a comedy club.
Families here. It's not something that you can do in 1 year's time, but there is a clear path to get to 3%, and then from 3%, work your way down to 0. And like I said,
we got to raise money somehow. So how are you going to do it?
There's multiple states who have already done it. As far as you've got Tennessee, it took them a few years to get theirs done. Florida, Texas, as well as 8 other states. And so you'll have to look at things like the fair tax, the Georgia fair tax. You'll look at consumption tax and things of that nature, but the basis is you eliminate the unnecessary credits that are being given out right now.
Who would you rather serve with as governor, David Perdue or Brian Kemp?
You know, I've had a great relationship with both Senator Perdue and Governor Kemp. It is one of those things, when you're running these races, you try to stay in your lane, and that's what I'm going to do, is stay in my lane for Lieutenant Governor.
Senator Jones and I spoke for about 20 minutes and touched on his time at UGA and his thoughts about the Rivian deal. Look for the link to the full unedited interview on our homepage at Fox 5.
If they were going to do something here, there would be a stage set up. They don't have one in the meadow either. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not this weekend, like it's supposed to. A football game going over here. I can wear the tread off a set of tires. One of them seems to be riding on the inside. I don't know what's caused that.